What's up, Passionistas? How are y'all doing today? I'm so excited to bring you this training. I have absolutely loved getting to know you guys in the group. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerabilities, your heart, the stuff that you're processing through right now. We are moving right along. We're on day 2 of our Zero F's Given training. Today, I'm really excited to talk about what's up, Tammy. Today, I'm really excited about how to talk about how to go from awkward to unapologetic and letting go of all these things that you feel like you have to be in order to show up in a bigger way on social media. So, yesterday, if you are new, if this is your first time, catching up on this, welcome. Yesterday, we really talked about identifying why we care so much as women, what people think, and who the ever elusive they is, and why that matters so much to us. And today, now that we've identified that and we've got an action plan, today we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what we actually believe that we have to be or become or change in order to be successful, especially when it comes to building an online business, showing up on social media, all of the things. And so today is really about embracing what makes you you. Quirks, weirdo-ness, inner nerd, all of the things that make you you, your gifts, your strengths. Even what I'm going to talk about today is things that you may consider flaws, things that you may consider the problem, things that you may consider as a hurdle. I often think that many times those things are actually the way. The parts of us that we feel like we need to fix or change or we need to bury are often the solution. The parts of you that you think are the problem, many times redirected, are actually the solution. I know that you guys have probably heard that before, that some of our weaknesses are also our biggest strengths at the same time. And so it takes discernment and awareness to learn how to channel that and to show up as your most authentic self. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. Especially if you're watching the replay as well, what do you believe that you must be in order to be successful or to show up online? Do you feel like you've got to be super professional, super profesh, like kind of corporate-y? Do you feel like you've got to be super well-spoken, your words, you've got to be a great orator? Like, what do you feel like you've got to be? Do you have to be like the influencer in Bali? Do you feel like you have to have a perfect body? Do you feel so? What I've noticed after coaching tons and tons of women is that a couple of things come into play here. You either feel like you've got to be super professional, okay? So like T's crossed, I's dotted, super on point, like so professional, almost to the point of being perfect, okay? Or you feel like you've got to be this super exciting, high energy, like rainbows, like shooting out of your ears and your eyes, all that. You feel like you've got to be so like high energy and just like an extrovert and like with it and okay, and never, never like some of you are more soft spoken. Some of you are more like, even keeled. Okay. And then, so you feel like, well, because I'm not this huge personality or this, whatever, then I'm not this, I don't belong here, or I can't show up, or I can't do whatever. And so I would love to hear from you in the comments, or maybe it's something else. What is in the way? What obstacle is in the way of you showing up unapologetically? What makes you hold back? Okay. Is it you don't like your energy? And oftentimes it's going to be something that you don't like about yourself. We haven't yet experienced a greater measure of self-acceptance, self-love, appreciation for how we wired. We're constantly trying to fix ourselves, to change ourselves. At the same time, I 100% believe in showing up with your best energy and showing up feeling really aligned and in a good place as well, and being an intentional creator of that versus someone who's a victim to their emotions and a victim to the way that they feel all the time. Because here's what I also know and if you're taking notes, this is one that you for sure want to write down, is that entrepreneurship, especially in the world of online business and social media, where one of your top priorities is creating high converting content and developing the like, know, and trust factor, which comes from people getting to know you via your pictures, via your live video, your stories, your content, okay? So it's so important that you embrace the awkward, that you accept all the parts of yourself that you've been trying to fix, and that you realize that as a powerful woman and a creator of her own energy, not a victim to it, okay? A creator of her own energy, that you can show up in the best in a way that is the most authentic, most aligned, feeling good energy that's unique to you. So you're not going to show up how I show up. You're not going to show up how, giant mega influencer, celebrity business owner is going to show up. But you can show up 100% as you, where you are in your journey. And the more that you begin to accept that, and the more that you begin to do it, like we talked about yesterday, and take action and develop that skill set, develop that entrepreneurial endurance, you're going to find your flow. You're going to find your style. You're going to find what when you feel best, how you like to do things, what makes you the most comfortable, what makes you the most confident. But you'll never find that out if you don't ever take action, okay? So what are the things that you feel like are holding you back? Do you feel like you're boring? Do you feel like you're awkward? Do you feel like you struggle with putting words together? Do you feel like, when you try to go face to camera and you're looking at yourself, or you're looking at yourself like I'm doing right now, you're like just picking yourself apart. You don't like the sound of your voice, your hair, your outfit, whatever it is. What is it that is in the way? We've got to identify that. So I'd love to hear from you if you're watching the replay as well. What is in the way? When you try to do this, okay, and I know that this happens, all right, because I've coached so many women through this process. Like, you'll do a video, you'll record it 5 times. You'll do a story and you'll try to get it out a million times, and you keep deleting it. Okay, you keep deleting it because you are picking something apart, or you feel so awkward, or what are they going to say? Or, oh God, that's so stupid. And, all of these things that start to come through your head. What is it? What is it for you? I would love to know in the comments, because we've got to identify that first. We've got to identify what the main issue is that's in the way, so that we can shift to unapologetic and 100% be comfortable in our own skin. Okay. And here's what I want you to understand is that when people are in the nurture awareness stage of you, and you're developing that like, know, and trust with your audience online, it's really, really important that you understand that relatability is very important, and that many of your audience, your potential clients, your ideal clients, the people that are going to work with you, they're looking for what we call rapport. They're looking for ways that they can see themselves in you, that they can identify with you. Okay. And when you know that you're tracking with your people, is they'll say things like, me too, I totally get that. Or like, you're my type of gal. I like that. Because they're seeing themselves in you. And that's really, even in our differences and in our uniqueness, that's really the deal. Because as human beings, we're naturally pretty self-centered. We're naturally always tuned into what's in it for me. All right. And so when your clients are looking to you, they're looking, do I see myself in her? Or do I see that my life could be that way as well? The relatability factor is super, super important. And I think even more as we move forward into the dawn of a new era in online business in 2020, is like, people are not about the fakeness. They're not about like this. They're not about this giant, this lifestyle that they like can't even fathom. right then. And what we see happen is a lot of times people they may buy one or two courses from like these giant mega influencers, but you will see that people would much rather spend money and would much rather coach with or do whatever with someone who is relatable, that they feel like, okay, this person is actually going to see me as a person. I'm not just going to be a number. I'm not just going to be a wheel in the, a spike in the wheel of their brand. They're actually going to see me and know me and create that true community, because that's what social media is supposed to be about. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be about community. To prove this to you, you look at Facebook and how Facebook has prioritized groups over everything. Just FYI, Facebook is all about the groups because they've realized that that is what people are hungry for. They're hungry for true community. They're hungry for a place that they feel safe. They're hungry for actual human interaction. And so the more that you can embrace what makes you human, what makes you quirky, what makes you awkward, weird, your accent, how you fumble over your words, just wherever you are in your life, be there. Don't try to be anything other than the best energy version of yourself. And you know this, right? You know when you're in the flow, when you're in the zone, when you're feeling yourself, all of those things, okay? And as CEOs, that's our number one job, is energy prioritization and how we show up. And I'm not saying that we don't show up even when we don't feel exactly that way, because I believe that even when you're not, in the zone or in flow or aligned, that's not stopping divine oneness from speaking through you. I've had moments where I've shown up and I'm like, oh, that wasn't super great. I didn't feel super awesome about that. And people would be like, oh my gosh, like that resonated with me so much. That spoke to me so much, because it's really not about you at the end of the day. It's about the message that you've been called to put out in the world. And so I'll just give you some more examples of what maybe this looks like at a tangible level is, I have signed up, and I think so many people have these notions, and they never start taking action because they feel like they've got to be so perfect, so polished, so professional, so looking like this coach or whatever. Guys, I have signed up with coaches who show up on calls like this, literally in their pajamas with no makeup on, hair in a bun, looking kind of, slouchy. However, their content was killer and their delivery was killer, and they were being 100% in their element because that's how they felt the most confident and comfortable. They didn't have anything to prove. They weren't trying to show you how nice they could dress or how polished they could be. They're like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And this is the content that I have to give to you. And I didn't think it was any less valuable because this person wasn't dressed a certain way or spoke a certain way or was too young or too old or whatever the thing is. And I would encourage you to check your judgments. Many times the gals that struggle with this so much, with showing up, with embracing their imperfections, their awkwardness, their quirks, the things that make them, weird, whatever, they are often, and they don't want anybody to know it, but they've got some major judgment going on. They're judging other people in the online space because they're not showing up how they think they should be showing up, because they've got this rule book, right? They've got these standards. And it's this catch-22 because they can never measure up to these extreme standards that they're holding for other people. And I found myself, there was one coach who's like, like killing it, making 50, 60K months. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm going like, listen to how this person talks. Like, I can't even listen to you talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, our judgments get so, they rear their ugly heads, and they're really mirroring to us things that we don't like about ourselves. So hear me on that. If you are out here judging and being critical, nobody can ever get it right. Nobody can ever, meet your expectations. Maybe you're super aware of little isms that people have. Like, I know this one girl who would literally count how many times, people were saying, or, the grammar police, or like, don't be critical, don't be a critical Kathy. Don't be a judgy Judy. Like, because that is going to come back on you. And I would encourage you and challenge you, if you're in a moment right now where you're struggling with showing up and being consistent in your online presence, I would challenge you to get real about who you are judging in this online space and who you're holding to a standard that maybe they can never live up to, and thus you can never live up to. Okay. So we've got to be willing to extend grace to people and extend grace to ourselves. And in fact, I heard this one time and I thought it was so good. The measure of grace that we give other people is many times the measure of grace that we give ourselves. And so we have to give ourselves grace to be awkward, to be boring, to be basic, to be, beginners. Everybody starts somewhere. And the more that you show up unapologetically, like, hey, I kind of live a boring life, basic life. Like, this is what I'm doing. Or, hey, I'm brand new. I'm not sure how all this works, but I'm doing it anyway. That is much more refreshing than someone who is just like denying the elephant in the room. And so just be who you are unapologetically. And the more that you do that, the more that you're going to develop a rhythm. And so I personally love it, especially when someone is brand new and you're trying to find your voice and use your voice online and, find your style and get in flow, for you to just show up with a smile and to just call out the elephant that is in the room and say, this is my first time. Hey, I'm unsure. Hey, I'm nervous. Hey, I can't stand looking at myself. I know y'all can relate to that. Oh, the sound of my own voice is weird, and then get right into it and get right into the message that you want to bring to people. Keep it short and sweet. The point is that you did it. Some other things that can help you kind of shift from awkward to unapologetic is to start practicing in a safe space for you. So maybe you start practicing just recording some videos on your phone that you don't ever publish. Or maybe you just start your own group, don't invite anybody into it, and practice going live in the group. Nobody's in it, and you'll just delete it. And that's also the other thing that you can be super unapologetic about, is because, guys, this stuff ain't permanent on here. Like, you can delete the video. You can take it down. You go live on Instagram, that lasts for 24 hours unless you turn it into an IGTV. But like, if it's a mess, if it's a total shit show, if you got so nervous that you puked, if you're sweating profusely and you totally lose your train of thought and, you just hyperventilate, like, just delete it. It's not a big deal. Like, we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to what we are making all of these things mean. Okay. What are you making how you show up, your performance, because that's what that's what you're making it. What are you making that mean? Okay. And on that note, I want you to understand that when you show up, okay, when you show up online, your pictures, your video, your content, whatever it is, it's really not about you. Just gonna let that sit for a minute. Gonna get a sip of coffee. Think about that. When you succumb to self-consciousness, to being, giving so many F's, being, hyper aware of how awkward, pulling yourself apart, picking yourself apart, self-deprecating, all of those things, who are you making it about? You. Guess what your content is not about? You. Your content is 100% about the people that you're called to serve, your ideal clients. What do they need to hear? What are the solutions that you need to have? Are you putting your awkwardness, your, cares, all the F's that you give about Aunt Sally and your friends from high school or your peer group that doesn't understand your business whatsoever and doesn't want to talk about it. And when you do, they're like, I don't understand. And, it's like you're putting their opinions and their expectations above the people that you're called to serve and impact. And you will never build a business that way, ever. Okay? When we give into that, I heard somebody say this one time too, is that, this is gonna guys, this is gonna land kind of rough right now. So just sit with it. I just want you to sit with it. Because it landed rough for me too. I actually think it was this book by Beth Moore called So Long Insecurity. I'm not sure where I heard this, but the quote is pretty much this: insecurity is the ultimate form of selfishness. Insecurity is the biggest form of self-absorption. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. If I'm insecure and I'm constantly walking around doubting, worrying about what so-and-so is going to think or say or judge me, it's like this huge fear of being judged. I know we had somebody in the comments talk about that, like being judged, and really it's like what we're making their opinion of our character mean. It's when we're thinking about all of that, do you want to know who the number one person that is on the top of your mind is? You. And you will never build a business, a sustainable business of customers that love and adore you and or honor or respect you or have had this great experience if you are constantly the thing that's on top of mind. If you can shift to, how can what I have learned in my life, my proven framework to go from A to B, the skill set, the knowledge, the solution, the problem solving skill set that I have, this incredible thing that I've got my hands on that I am so passionate about, that I want everyone to know about, how am I getting in the way? When we live in insecurity, when we live in just 100% focus on how awkward we are and weird and our quirks and our stuff and all the things, like we're making it about us. If we can get obsessed with our idle client and her pain points and what she's going through and what she needs to hear, or he, what do they need to hear from you today? If you could tell them one thing, what would it be? What are some practical, tangible solutions that you can bring to them? You've got to shift it. Shifting from awkward to unapologetic, number one is embracing all of those things. And then number two, what do your people need to hear today? How can you add value? How can you influence? How can you serve? How can you give and then invite them to work with you and learn more? Okay. So does that make sense? Is that landing for you guys? And to me, that's how we shift, because we have to make the decision to get what's important, to get the people that are supporting our businesses and are top of mind. We have to get them top of mind instead of how we're coming across and all of those different things. Okay. So is that landing with you guys? And I think the more that you can shift to, okay, who is it really about? Who is this for? How can I serve? What do they need? And you get so obsessed with action taking in that area that you really don't have time to think about how awkward you are. You really don't have time to look at a video and go, oh my God. You really don't have time to make anything else mean something that it doesn't, because you're so laser focused on the mission at hand. And that's what a truly passion-driven entrepreneur is about. For many of you, you've got way too much time on your hands, or you're not stewarding that time appropriately. Because if you were, the time is not being spent worried about what people think. The time is not being spent obsessing over your awkwardness and your weirdness and your idiosyncrasies and all of those things. Okay. It's just not. When you are passion driven and laser focused on what you're called to do in the world, it's like Here we go. Get to the goal, get to the end point, get to where we're going. The vision is before us. Let's get after it. Okay. Does that make sense? So if it helps you to shift, a shift that you can do is when you find yourself in that moment, this is really comes down to time management and time stewardship. And we're the CEOs of our business. Okay. We don't have time for insecurity. We don't have time for, second guessing and doubting. I don't have time. Okay. I don't have time to worry about what you think. That's why I give 0 Fs. Now listen, this is totally different. Let me put some whataboutism in here. This is totally different than client relationships and customer experience. Okay. What I'm talking about is the show up factor, is the insecurity, the self-doubting, and did I do it right? And the perfectionism and all of the things, the professionalism and all of the stuff that you feel like is holding you back from showing up. That's what I'm discussing. When it comes to our clients and how they feel, when it comes to their voice, their opinion, their boundaries, what they want and need, we're servant leaders here. And we absolutely have time to lean into that and to listen and to slow down, to speed up. But I'm talking about, like, I don't have time to worry about anybody's opinion. I don't have time to second guess my marketing. I don't have time to second guess how I did whatever. I don't have time to be insecure about how I look, how my voice sounds, my accent, whether I said something right. I'm probably going to do a lot of things wrong. I made a huge mistake just yesterday in with one of my clients in my launch. I totally screwed it up. I was totally thinking about my perspective in a situation and not really listening. And it was such a beautiful learning moment. And I was like, hey, messed that up. Was not aware. Thank you very much for educating me. I am so sorry. And then I'm moving on. I'm not staying in a shame cycle where I'm like beating myself up and gosh, and this, I should, and that, because it's done. It's over. And I can't do anything about it. And other than learn and move on. And when you know better, you do better. And that's what being a leader is really about. Okay. So, but when it comes to showing up, I can't waste time in insecurity. I can't waste time in guilt and shame. And they are massive time sucks and massive energy sucks. So if your energy has been off with some of your marketing and your social or, whatever it is that you're wanting to show up more, that the things that you've been given the F's about, okay, I want you to pay attention to where is guilt and shame and imposter syndrome kind of popping up for you. What do you need to forgive? By the way, you can forgive yourself. You can give yourself grace. And who else do you need to forgive? Who do you need to take down off the pedestal? Who do you need to release from the expectations that they were never going to meet because of their own insecurities or their own just humanness? Okay. So I want you to check for that. How's this landing for you guys? Is this making sense? By the way, my coffee is so delicious. For those of you that are new to me, I know it looks kind of gross, but man, it is a treat. It is a treat. I have judged this thing up. So what I've got in it, just so you guys know, people ask me this all the time, is I've got collagen in it. I've got my Gavalia coffee, turmeric creamer, and I use this almond milk coconut creamer as well from Caffeia Farms. I think you said that right. And then I put cayenne and cinnamon and cloves on top. And it is freaking delicious. Oh my God. It's so good. I truly don't understand people that are not coffee snobs. Like, if you can just drink bad coffee, and this is like just me being authentic right now. I'm judging you if you drink bad coffee. I am. I'm like, when I see people, and y'all are gonna get so mad, when I see people with Keurigs Y'all, Keurigs are not like, that's not quality good coffee. Like, I'm a total coffee snob. Okay. I was a barista in college as well with like 3 other jobs, and it ruined me. Okay. I cannot let people drink bad coffee. So, for real, I'm like, get the Keurig, get the Folger out of here. We've got to step it up. And once you have really good coffee, man, you just can't drink bad coffee. It's like, what is this? This is like coffee flavored water. What are we doing? So, anyways, side note, but I want to encourage you to be yourself. I want to encourage you to show up however is the best way for you to show up. Infuse parts of your personality, like what I just did with the coffee. Maybe, I even know I have a coach, like she will straight up show up with her face roller on trainings. Like, just pretend. And I think that will help many of you with this. How would you act on video? How would you act if you were with one of your best friends or your dream client, the client that you feel so comfortable with, the client that's like a great client that like you totally would go to drinks with them and you just love them so much? Like, how would you act? How would you be sitting here? If one of my clients was in my office right now, how would I be acting? The more that you can translate that online and in your social, the more comfortable that you're going to be. So, one of my coaches one time called this BFF marketing. And it's so true because it's relatable. And people feel like, yes, I honor and respect you and I want to glean from you, but I know that you're also a person and you're relatable, and like we could totally like hang out. Like we could go get drinks, we could go have dinner. I know that you would invite me to your house and it'd be cool. And that's my method that I like to do. It's like just being somebody the other day on a podcast episode was like, she goes, you're kind of like a homegirl. You be my homegirl. Like we're just chilling. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I can't do this super like, formal, this formal, polished, stiff, weird stuff. Like we're just human beings. Everybody has something to offer. And I think I think this is another huge shift in this kind of BFF marketing method that I'm sharing with you guys, is one of the huge shifts here is like, stop taking yourself so seriously, first of all. And this has been a journey for me for sure. I am serious by nature. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. I am a former police officer. I've been an athlete my whole life. Everything is to win. Everything is like mission, get it done. Everything is serious. Like even last night, I was messaging one of my friends about the show Yellowstone. Do you guys watch Yellowstone? It's my favorite show right now. I love it. I am like team Beth and Rip for life. Okay. But, anyways, and we were messaging about it and she's like, yeah, I've just started watching, this current season. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you haven't watched season 1 and 2? She's like, no. I'm like, I'm like, this is serious. Hold the phone. I'm like, no, you must stop watching this current season. You're not going to understand. It's not going to mean as much. Like, go back now. This is like of utmost importance. So I can get real intense very, very, very quickly and very serious very quickly. And it's taken me, a large part, especially recently I would say the past 2 years, to really embrace not taking everything so seriously and sucking the fun and the play and the enjoyment out of everything in my life, because I have the tendency to do that. I haven't learned, I struggle with sometimes relaxing. I struggle with sometimes just having fun. I struggle with, those things. And so, but I know that the more fun I have, the more wealthier I become, because fun is a vibration of wealth and abundance. Okay. Does that make sense? So you can really shift to being unapologetic about who you are and unapologetic about all the things that make you you, when you can have a healthy sense of humor and not take yourself so seriously. Like if I mess up, whoops, my bad, I messed up. Something didn't go a certain way. Oh, my bad. It's like what something that I say often is it's like anybody can do this. That's what's so beautiful about social media, in my opinion. And guys, if y'all don't believe me, y'all need to pay attention to some of the people that are out here. Y'all know what I'm talking about. People are people, okay? If they can show up and do it, so can you, all right? So, yeah, and even like a good example of that, like we want to talk about, being a certain way or whatever, all you have to do is watch some episodes of The Real Housewives and how they show up. It's like, we know that, like, seriously, anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. So just be yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. What would happen? What would happen if, for God's sakes, you just showed up and laughed a little? You just joked around with your audience. You just had a conversation on social. Because, by the way, that's all that we're doing is starting conversations and creating community with people. What if you just had fun with this and didn't take it so seriously and didn't make it mean all the things that you're making it mean? And I'm not talking about not taking what you do seriously or showing up with excellence. I'm talking about the measure of judgment that you're putting on yourself and that you're putting on others. Okay. So when we can just show up and, for God's sakes, have some fun, have some laughs, treat this as an experiment, treat this as a game, to where it's like, this is, at the end of the day, guys, let's just keep it real for a minute. Okay. Let's just get real about some stuff. Like, this is not super important. You know what I mean? Like, look at what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I feel like sometimes our insecurity and our awkwardness and the things, like, I'm like, this is not a real problem. Like, being afraid to show up, that's not a real problem. Like, sex trafficking is a real problem. Black people being murdered every day because of the color of their skin is a real problem. COVID in our economy is a real problem. All you have to do is turn on the news for 5 minutes and you'll see all the real problems that we are being made 100% aware of every 5 seconds. Okay? So it's like, we've got to get real about, like, guys, come on. Like, not a real problem. You stuttering and being awkward and weird, me talking about my coffee, I don't know, me having a booger in my nose, like, I don't know, whatever the things are that we make mean, like, those are not real problems. We have the incredible opportunity and free opportunity, literally via apps on our phone, to show up and make an impact and make income at the same time. It's really mind-blowing to me when I think about the fact that if you would have tried to explain what the internet was, what an app on a cell phone was to someone 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they would have no real concept for the things that are here today. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? And we're sitting around literally not using the free tools that are at our disposal every single day to build the life and business of our dreams and to go unapologetically after what they want. I mean, I'm blown away every day by how we can totally impact people's lives and truly connect with people from all over the world. Like, it's mind-blowing and it's so exciting. Like, guys, I even think about, like, those of you that are on the live video right now. Where are you from? I would love to know where you're from. Tell me in the comments. And I'm like, how did you even find me? How do we know each other? Like, it's how did we get here? I'm blown away that I'm sitting here in my house in Idaho, okay, in Boise, Idaho, and I am literally connecting with other human beings all across the country. Some of you are in other countries. Mind blown. Okay, Malta. Where is Malta? Canada. Like, guys, hello. Okay? Like, the world is your oyster. Show up. Think about that. Stop thinking about just your small little microcosm of your world, of your local community. I am sitting here in Idaho. Okay, Michelle, I hope I'm saying your name right. Yes, you're freaking in Europe right now. My gosh. We get to connect with each other. Hannah is in Alberta. Tammy's in Canada as well. Tracy's in Canada. Guys, come on. This is amazing. And if I would have succumbed to insecurity, well, they may judge me, they don't know me. If I would have shrunk back, said, well, I don't feel like it today, or, whatever the issue is. Okay, Gwen's in Louisiana. Gwen's from my hometown in Louisiana. I would not be getting to literally talk with you right now. I would not know you. Tracy, I would have no idea who you are. Tammy would have no idea. Hannah, Michelle would have no idea who you are. Like, that's not okay with me. So think about, what you're missing out on. Like, FOMO is real. What is your insecurity, your doubt, your worrying about what people think? What is that stealing from you? What are you missing out on because of that? What are you missing out on? We miss out on so much when we worry about what other people may say, think, or do. And we have zero control over it. I have control over one thing, and that is like minimal at best, and it's me. I have control over pressing the live video. And I have control over the pictures that I post. I have control over the captions that I write. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that you can concern yourself with. Okay? So let's stop being mini control freaks and trying to manage our images and just show up 100% in all of our awkwardness, our weirdness, our, non-tech skills, whatever the issue may be for you. Let's show up that way. Let's be the women that go for it. And let's be the women that have fun with this and actually get to create community and meet people from all over the world. Okay. So homework for you today is I would love to hear you identify what the not enoughness is that you are letting hold you back. Maybe you're awkward, not professional. You feel like you're boring. You feel like you're soft spoken. What is the thing? What is your awkward? What is the thing? Okay. And who and what do we need to forgive and let go of? And how can we start making it more about our ideal client and what they need to hear and what they need to see? Okay. And for God's sakes, let's have some fun. Let's laugh it off. Let's shake it off. Okay. Let's actually enjoy social media. Let's enjoy our businesses. Let's enjoy our lives. This whole concept of play is really the way of the warrior as well. And it's something that I talk about in one of our last lessons inside of Boss Moves, which, by the way, if you haven't joined Boss Moves yet, you want to for sure get on the wait list, because I feel like everybody needs it, no matter your stage of business. And if you want to learn what it's like to work with me and my message and kind of the foundation of what I teach, Boss Moves is it for real. So anyways, okay, guys. So I want to let you all know one last thing before we go. Well, two things. I've got two things that I want to wrap up with. Number one, tomorrow's training is going to be more tangible. I'm actually going to give you some scripts to get you started with mini trainings and what to say on video and what to say on stories. Would that be helpful for you? Do you guys ever struggle with just like what to say? What do I do here? Okay. If that's you, I'm going to give you some just mini little scripts to get you started. Don't be a robot though. Make it your own. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. So tomorrow's training is going to be really good for that. And then the second thing that I wanted to let you guys know about, if you haven't seen it already, we are accepting applications for the Authentic Online Leader Mastermind. which actually starts next week. So the rest of this week, I'm reviewing applications, I'm hopping on calls for women that want to get to their next level by being themselves. Okay, so this is going to be mainly for the woman who's already building an online business. You're probably at that anywhere from 2 to 5K a month, and you want to get to that 10K. You really want to grow in your leadership. You want to enjoy your life. You want to show up on social media as yourself, 100% you, 100% bold. And you're really ready to create a community and a safe space for everyone. You want to take your leadership to the next level, okay? Like, you're the type of gal that's like done with the bullshit. You're done with the stuff that you've been seeing in the online industry, and you really want to grow and get to the next level of your business and be a CEO through authentic leadership. Leadership, by the way, guys, by the way, that's the thing. Okay. Some people think like, well, I need the strategy. Well, I've got to have the clarity. Well, I've got to have the, the this, the that, like all of the things. What you need is leadership. Okay. And learning how to lead yourself first and walk in massive integrity and massive authenticity, because those two things are what create confidence in knowing who you are, knowing what you're not, knowing where your worth comes from, okay, and knowing who you're called to serve. All right, so those two things, those are the last two announcements. I will see you guys in the group tomorrow. If you've enjoyed this, you've got any feedback, let me know. Feel free to invite your people into this group to get in on this training. And I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Talk to you soon.